All right, so we are going to get started real quickly with just a few things and agenda items on what we're going to discuss tonight. First, we're going to go over about how to submit questions if you have any that come up during the presentation. Then we're going to talk about some key admissions dates for all of our incoming families. I will introduce you to, again, our president, Mr. Shambari, and our principal, Bree Thorson, who are going to talk about our school history and kind of our culture, as well as current procedures and protocols that we are under right now with COVID. And then we're going to do some questions that were submitted prior to tonight's event, as well as any that come in this evening. So let's go ahead and move on to how to submit a question. Please tonight use the chat function on the Zoom. You can type it directly to Bishop Manogue. That's going to come directly to me. I'm going to be your moderator for this evening. If we do not have time to get to your question tonight, in respect for everybody's time and making sure that we basically let you go at 6 o'clock, we are going to hold to that 6 o'clock time frame. So if we don't get to your question, I will be responding to those questions that didn't get answered individually after this meeting and through tomorrow. So just some important dates and deadlines. Our applications are currently open, so please feel free, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and apply online. I highly encourage all of our families to do the early application deadline, which is November 25th. After that, the price will go up to $125. Right now, it is $75, which is a great discount. This is also really great for students and families who are looking to ensure their spot for next year. By doing this early decision, you would actually be part of our early decision admissions, which would start in January, and you can start enrolling in March. We are likely to be on a waiting list and have more applicants than we have spots for next year. So by doing that, we really want to make sure that those families who really want to come to Manogue get the ability to do so first and have that priority enrollment in March. Our next date on here is January 10th. This is when our scholarship application deadline is. So those will start being allowed to be submitted November 25th, the same day as our early decision deadline. And then we will also start sending out the decisions January 10th. So January 10th is another big date for families. And then the last one I want to quickly talk about is our financial aid packages. So once you apply and you submit all those scholarships and financial aid by January 10th, families will start to receive the notifications for their financial aid packages February 24th. This will again allow families a lot of time to kind of review all of the financials that are associated with Bishop Manogue and start making those decisions as we do open up our enrollment in early March. For additional details and enrollment deadlines and admissions deadlines, you can find all of that in our admissions page, and I will be sure to send it out after tonight's presentation as well. So now I'd like to introduce you to our president and our principal. First of all, Mr. Shambari is our principal or our president, and he is joining us again. He started with us in 2001, and he was our campus minister as well as taught religion. And he decided to leave and do some other adventures in, I believe it was Seattle, as well as what was the other one? I can't remember now. I just lost it. But Kansas. Kansas, that's right. Kansas. To pursue some additional principal or president positions in those two states or those two cities. And he decided to come back to us 3 years ago, and he has been our president ever since, and we are so lucky to have him. And then our principal, Bree Thorson, she also started with us a long time ago. I think it was 2003, where she was a long,
Danielle. Don't say long.
I feel like
gentle.
It was longer. Yeah. In 2003, where she was a Spanish teacher, an English teacher, as well as an administrative dean. She decided to pursue her principal position at Little Flower, where she was there for several years. And again, we decided to take her back, which we are so excited that she is back. And now this is her 5th year with us as our principal. So we are very excited to have them both with us tonight. And I would like to pass it over to Mr. Shambari to talk about some of our school demographics and just kind of our school culture and history.
Thank you so much, Danielle. We really appreciate it. Again, excited to be with you tonight. Excited to be part of this leadership group with Bree. We've worked together for a long time, and we share a common vision in terms of the value of Catholic education. And so we're really blessed to be here, and I feel very blessed to be here. So a little bit about us. If we are relatively new to you, we're not new to this community. We've been here since 1948. We're the only Catholic college preparatory diocesan high school in the north. There's only 2 in the state of Nevada. And so we cover a pretty wide area. We take kids from as far as 90 minutes away in some cases. And so we serve pretty much all of northern Nevada. We have kids that come from Northern California, the Lake Tahoe area, kind of all over. We are a diocesan school, which means that we are part of the Diocese of Reno, and we're under the leadership and stewardship of Bishop Randolph Calvo. A little bit about us inside, kind of our demographics and what we look like. So this year we're at 635 students. We will flex anywhere between 625 and 650 kind of historically. We are targeting a class next year of about 650. Average class size, you're going to get anywhere from 150 to 160, 165 a class, depending upon the year and the situation. We are a college prep school, meaning our goal is to prepare kids for higher education. And we do it at a pretty high rate. As you can see, 100% of our kids graduate from high school, 98% go on to college. Typically that 2% that isn't going directly to college is going into the armed services. And we're very proud of them for making that commitment to their country. We're a pretty diverse school. A quarter of our students, we're economically diverse. A quarter of our students receive financial support of some kind. A third of our students are of an ethnic minority group, so we're also culturally diverse. And we're just very excited about who we are as a community and the richness of this community. Our staff population, 68% of our staff, you can see here on the screen, has advanced degrees. We have an exceptional cadre of teachers and counselors and people that are here and committed to ensuring our students are all that they can be, and we're very excited about that. We've been doing this very well for a very long time, and we're very proud of who we are. We're proud to have a school like ours on a foundation of our Catholic faith. A little bit about accessibility. You can see there that a quarter of students receive tuition assistance. And I think one of the most frequent questions that we get on nights like tonight is about tuition assistance. So I wanted to just hit it an overview for you. But if you want real detail, there is a financial aid video that we put together as part of our digital open house. You can see the link there on your screen. If you have specific questions that either I don't answer or the video doesn't answer, feel free to reach out to Danielle directly and she can connect you. She can either answer your question or connect you with us so we can walk you through it. But the most important thing to note is that financial aid is on the basis of need. And so need is determined through an application process. We use an independent third party that looks at the financials. It's not us just sitting down. We use a third party. We use a blind system. We do have scholarships and financial aid. And the most important thing that I want you to take away from tonight as it relates to financial aid is that you want to apply early. You want to apply early for admission, and you want to apply as soon as the financial aid application opens. Because if you do that, then you have access to the largest possible pool of funds. And we do make distributions and awards in that way. And so if you wait, the pool of funds just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so we work really hard to be accessible to our families and to make sure that money isn't the reason that you can't choose a Bishop Manogue education. And so if that is something that is important to you, I just want to stress, get in early. There is some paperwork involved. That's part of the college prep experience. Welcome to paperwork. It's going to be the same thing when your kids are applying for college and applying for college scholarships. But it's worth it. So you do the hard work and it's worth it in the end. So that's, again, I want to point you to the video for specific questions, and I go into great detail on the process. But if I could stress anything tonight about financial aid, it's as soon as that opens up on the 25th, get right on it and make sure that you apply early. We will not make tuition assistance awards until a student has been accepted. So you can't apply for tuition assistance and not apply for acceptance. We'll only offer awards to students that have been accepted. And I'm going to turn it over to Bree. She's going to talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of our school and especially related to the current environment that we're in.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us, for being with us tonight in this amazing virtual environment, which I'm experiencing firsthand as a parent tonight. So I had anticipated being in the building, but one of our children had some signs and symptoms, so we're all home together. So please forgive me if you hear background noise. We're trying our best here. 2020 has been a little unprecedented, obviously, for all of us. We have dealt with it the best we can. We love our students and we love our families. And we have two main goals that we're focusing on as we look at 2020. The first is to keep everyone safe and healthy. And the second is to keep them in school. And so we have done that through a series of daily health checks, in-person health checks as we enter students into the building, and a socially distant hybrid model that we'll talk a little bit about more here shortly. Those things have worked for us. It's really helped us to detect cases early on, to exclude students from school physically for the time being, and to keep our community safe. And so if we were to evaluate how we're doing right now, I would say that we are doing very well, even though we do have a high exclusion rate, but because we're focused on that safety and keeping everyone healthy. So, Dee, I apologize. There we go. We have done a tremendous amount of planning in order to return our students to school. Our staff has been, thankfully, in advanced educational technology training for the past 4 years. So when we had to make the switch to virtual, they were able to do it overnight due to the training that they've had. We have also an amazing facilities team who helps us to stay up to date on what we should be doing, what are the most proactive practices, and keeping our building prepared for people to enter every single day. Our students, they're fantastic. Mr. Shambari has the money job, which he may love, but I get to work with the kids every day, and it's my favorite. They're amazing. I have the fun part of our job. Our kids are phenomenal, and we brought them back at the start of the year early, individual classes at a time, to explain to them what we knew was going to happen, how things were going to work, how we were going to keep them safe, and what we anticipated the year to look like. And I can say without hesitation, all of our kids have been absolutely fantastic. We don't have an issue with them following the rules, following the protocol. And our most frequent complaint is, Ms. Sorson, I want to be at school every day. Could you please just let me be at school every day? And so we really feel like we've been well prepared, and we're blessed to have our kids that are there with us. The other things that we've looked at this year, as I told you, we talk a little bit about our dual learning environment. When people hear hybrid right now, I find that they shudder a little bit and they think that I'm sending your child off to learn on their own for several days. That's not the case with us. We do have a full digital learning environment handbook. Our kids love it. That says you must be up and out of bed and camera ready and camera turned on and mic on every day at 8 a.m. And then they join their classes on the days that they're not physically in the building with us. They can see their teacher, they can see the other students and the board. We have kind of a three-way system where they're able to interact with all of it. They can talk to kids in the classroom from home. Kids in the classroom can talk to them. They can ask the teacher questions and the teacher can talk to them. We have the ability to do different breakout rooms where sometimes kids at home will work with kids in the building so that they're partnered and paired across both environments, so they do feel like they're being engaged. I do think it's been one of the biggest benefits of this. There is not like, well, I only really learn 2 days a week, or I only learn 3 days a week. We have had 5 days a week consistent learning since the year started. We're absolutely right on track with our curriculum and our progress, like we would be in a normal, if we get to go back to normal, school year and school setting. And that's really important for all of our kids. It's important for our high achieving kids who have AP course goals at the end of the year and tests that they need to take to be prepared for that. It's important for our kids who, hey, school isn't easy every single day, and I really need you to keep me on track and keep guiding me. So we have found this environment to be successful, and kids aren't just home alone, they're with us. You get multiple attendance checks. I'm pretty sure parents don't want to hear from our attendance office anymore because it's like, hey, Johnny was tardy. He slept through first period. We need him in class right now. Or, hey, it's second period and Mary's 5 minutes late. We need her exit ticket and we need to see her. So, like I said, we love our kids and we do stay on top of them. So
now we're going to go into some questions that were submitted prior to tonight's event. And I will have Ms. Thorson answer these first couple.
The distance learning model, we've actually surveyed our students twice, and I've been very impressed with their responses and the results of those surveys. There's some typical things like, hey, I really want to be back in the building every single day. What can you do to get me back in the building, Ms. Thorson? What can we do to have all of us back? And then there's other feedback, and we'll show you some of that in a minute, that's really positive. Like, I actually kind of like the hybrid environment. I like that I get a day to rest. I like that I get a day where I'm just at home and can kind of catch up. So mixed results. I do think overall kids would prefer to be in school. I think some of my upperclassmen do love the days that they get to sleep in and do class in appropriate jammies from home. I do not know what the spring is going to bring. If you were to ask me today, I would say, well, it looks like we'll be in this model for a little while. As we all know, 2020 looks like it's going to bleed into 2021, and that could be a mystery from day to day. It just strictly depends. We work really closely with the health district. They've been super supportive of us. We do follow the mandates of the governor, and so if it's decided that we're going to remain in this model, then we'll remain in this model. If we get released to have full capacity, like other high schools in the state, we will adjust and go back to a full-time in-person curriculum. So these are some of the comments from our latest student survey. We did one at the 4-week point and then again at the 12-week point. And they make me smile. I mean, I do have some like, hey, it's great to have breakfast in my first period, Miss Thorson. And you get some jokes in there too. But what you can see is that even though hybrid learning might not be the ideal, they are making the most of it. And this is just a snapshot of kind of some of the more frequent comments that we got on that latest survey. Sleep is a big one. The other that we're evaluating is some kids do feel like their stress levels have gone down because they're not having to get up, get to school, run around, be in class, be monitored. They kind of have a down day where, yeah, they just watch and interact from home at their own pace. So I've been really pleased with that. Oh, is hybrid learning still necessary for next year? I'm praying, and I hope all of you are too. Pray right along with us. We absolutely want to return to the building full time. Currently, we are in partnership with the diocese and, like I said, the health district and the state. We are planning for 2 possible scenarios to return, and we'll just see what everything brings. If we do have to remain in the hybrid model, there will be some adjustments that I'm sure that we make as we listen to our students, we listen to our parents, and look at what could we do better and what could we do different. I think flexibility is one of the hallmarks and absolute benefits of Catholic education. We aren't beholden to some of the state policies or red tape, if you will, that other organizations are. And so if we see a problem and we see something that can be fixed, we have the opportunity to fix it on our own. And that is part of the reason that I'm an administrator in a Catholic school. I absolutely love that flexibility.
Thank you, Ms. Thorson. Mr. Shambari is going to address some of our next questions.
Will you have tuition changes reflecting distance learning models in the future? I'd say right now it's too early to tell. We are very transparent as it comes to the operation of our finances. That's really important to me. We work really hard to be good stewards of the resources that are entrusted to us. I want parents to look at this as an investment in their children's future. And so any changes to tuition happens with a great deal of forethought. I will tell you, people ask, well, isn't it cheaper to be in a hybrid environment due to COVID? And the answer is no, actually, it's more expensive. So for this year, we've spent approximately $300,000 on different COVID mitigation strategies and implementations. Some of those are personnel, some of those are hardware, some of those are technology. So we actually have found ourselves, with quite a bit more cost. And it's still our plan to deliver regardless of what type of education we have to provide a high quality education that is good value for your investment. How are you mitigating COVID-19 spread on campus? What about off-campus events held outside of school? Yeah, we were in the news this week. There wasn't anything else going on, so we were a big story. No, the thing for us is the hallmark of Catholic education is partnership with parents. We believe that parents are the primary educators of the faith, and so we work really hard to partner with our parents. And it's a challenge, you know, as parents are balancing, how do I help my children in their mental health and their social life and everything else going on with the requirements of day-to-day school. And so it really is something that we're learning through together. This most recent situation, it was challenging, but we learn from it and we grow from it, and we respond as a community and as a united front. I joke with parents all the time, it's not us versus you, it's all of us versus the teenagers. And so we need to be in this together. And so, you know, we do our best. The only way that we tackle these situations is together.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to address this last question that came in prior to tonight's event, which is my 8th graders taking geometry now. How would they be placed in their classes for next year? And basically, what is happening is that when we get an applicant, they are typically scheduled to take a high school placement test if they are coming from a Washoe County or any other public schools. If they are currently in one of our Catholic partner schools, then they would not be required to take this test because they are currently in alignment with our math and science curriculums moving forward. So the highest level class that placement test would put a student in is currently geometry honors. If you're coming from a public school, it is likely that your student would be placed into that same class for next year. However, those placement tests are really designed just to give us an idea of where they're at academically right now and give suggestions and recommendations for course placements next year. Those aren't set in stone. So if you're currently in geometry and you get placed in geometry again, we do have challenge exams that we give in May, which allows students to basically demonstrate their knowledge in certain content areas and basically progress into that next level math class, which would be an Algebra 2 Trig honors class their freshman year. So if you guys have individual questions, or if anybody has any individual questions about their specific students and how it relates to their tests and their placement, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'd be happy to go over that individually, because some of those questions do get a little bit more specific to the individual student and where they're currently at. We did have a couple questions that came in last minute before tonight's event. The first one is, what is our maximum enrollment for this year's, actually for next year's incoming freshman class? Mr. Shambari already kind of went over that. We are targeting about 160 students to be in our freshman class for the start of the school year for 2021-22. With that being said, this is why we do highly encourage families to apply by that November 25th and do the early decision, because we do get more applications than we do have spots for that next year. So with this year, we were on a waiting list. With next year, we are likely to be on a waiting list as well. So getting those applications in early really does have an impact on your availability to enroll as a freshman for the next school year. The next question that I have involves uniforms, which is, can girls wear leggings as part of the uniform? Unfortunately, no. The leg wear that students are required, that females are required to wear, is a tweed material, and it can't be sweatpants, it can't be lycra, so it can't be stretchy. Girls can wear skinny style jeans that come down to the ankle, those are okay, but it does need to be of a more slack-like material and not necessarily leggings. So I have had a couple of questions come in, and one of them is, how will student interviews be conducted for kids from the feeder schools? Will they be in person or will they be virtual? So to answer this question for all of our students coming in from our partner schools, typically we do hold a one day where we come in and interview all the 8th grade students, which is very convenient and easy, and I love doing those types of settings. However, this year with COVID, we are limited to being on campuses, so you will have to schedule those individually. The link to schedule the interview is on our website. If you do have questions, or if there's a date, if you don't see a date that works for you, I'm happy to accommodate any scheduling needs that you guys have. So please go ahead, look into that link, and I'll send that out in the follow-up as well this evening, just in case, but those do need to be scheduled individually, and they are held virtually over a Google Meet session. Another student that just came in, do students enrolled in your partner school get priority acceptance? We do give priority acceptance to our partner schools because we do value continued Catholic education. However, 50% of our student body is made up of our partner school classes students, and the other 50% is made up of families that are coming from public school. So although they do get priority, there is still a large number of seats available to those coming from a public school. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen because it's a little bit easier to see the chats coming in. Let's see here. Doesn't look like I have any other questions. If you do have questions, we have about another 4 minutes. So if you do have questions, please feel free to send me those. We'll go over those. Again, we really do appreciate everybody being here this evening. We would love to have done this in person, and our annual open house event is a really great experience. For the students, they love it because there's free food. You get to actually taste our food that they serve at the lunch line, which is a highlight for most of our students because it's actual food. It's not what you would typically get in a cafeteria type setting. When they say it's a pizza, it's truly pizza on real dough with real cheese. It's not square. So that's usually one of the highlights for our students when they come into Manogue.
Hey, Ms. Lacombe, let me just say a word about athletics because we didn't
Yes,
get athletics questions.
absolutely.
We are currently planning to have sports in the spring. And for us, when we say spring, we mean second semester. That is obviously subject to change based on the recommendations and the direction of the governor. But we have had off-season work that's happened in the fall, and I would anticipate off-season activities this summer. And so Ms. Lacombe's great about sending out information in terms of when the off-season workouts are going to be, when the off-season camps are going to be. So if you have a particular sport that you're passionate about, we can make sure to connect you with the coach and with our athletic department so that they can get you the information that you need. We are big on athletics and co-curriculars because we want you to have a well-rounded experience. We don't want you to just be academic. We want you to be academic, and we want you to be involved and spirited and have opportunities to grow in faith. So it's really important that you use this opportunity to try out lots of different things, try out different sports and clubs and activities. And we are, even in a COVID environment, we've had retreats and we'll keep having retreats. So we're going to do all we can to make sure you have a great year with lots of high school experiences, regardless of what's happening in the world with COVID.
So I did have another question just come in really quickly before we end tonight's session is how does the high school placement test work? This year, the high school placement test is done virtually. Normally we would do it in person and have a group of students come to campus where we test them. And again, we use that test to give suggested course placements for next year. But this year will be done virtually, so the students actually get to do it from the comfort of their own home. We aren't doing any proctoring. We understand that testing is kind of anxiety filled for some students. Testing online isn't much easier, so we don't want to compound that by having myself basically stare at your student for a couple hours while they take their test. So it's all done online. They get an access code and they basically take it from their home. There is some rules that they do need to kind of abide by in terms of the things that they can use and things that they can't use, but all of that is given to you prior to the placement test. So when you sign up for that, you'll get a calendar confirmation from me that has all of that information. There's also a virtual tour that you can take of the test to kind of give you some feedback on how it works. Let's see. How do we find out the placement scores or levels? You will receive those scores when you get your decision packets. So if you've done the test already or you're doing it before December 9th, you will get those in January. So you'll see how you did on each of those, as well as how those scores placed you into your next class. I think that was it, and we're right at 6 o'clock. Woo, I got them all. Thank you so much, everybody. We do really appreciate you guys joining us this evening. We are going to post this video on the open house page for families who weren't able to watch. So please feel free to come back and watch this video if you missed anything or if you joined late. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you, guys. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.